Hi, I'm Kevin Coop, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. You know, it's probably a pretty good bet that most of you out there have kids. And if you don't have kids, well, it's a pretty good bet that you've been a kid at some point. In fact, I even know, because we have a pretty good readership on college campuses, that a number of you may actually be kids. Now, one of the things I've kind of gotten used to, as a parent, is the fact that my kids are going to roll their eyes at me, right? It's just going to happen. I'm going to say things or I'm going to do things, and they're just going to kind of roll their eyes like I am the biggest moron in the world. And and they're not always wrong. And I'm sort of used to that. And, I'm sure I did it to my parents as well, although quite frankly, I think if I rolled my eyes in front of my dad, I would have gotten a good one up the back of the head. The other thing I know is because even though my kids roll their eyes at me, and so I'm sure I thought that way in terms of my parents, as I got older, right, I got into my 20s and I got into my 30s, I began to feel that my parents were maybe a little smarter than I thought they were. They got wiser somehow as I got older. I think a lot of us have sort of shared that experience, right? As we get more experience, as we become more adults, we suddenly find that the gap between us and our parents sort of narrows, and they just seem a lot smarter than they used to. Now, I'm not sure that's always going to be the case anymore. I think that that's changed to some degree, and I think, to blame is technology. There's just so much technology out there that our kids get that we're just never going to get to the same extent, that we may never make that leap and seem so much smarter to our kids as they get older. And there may be very little that we can do about that. They're going to be rolling their eyes at us maybe longer than previous generations did. I like to joke that basically, there's only so much room in my hard drive, right? But the fact of the matter is, you'd have to have an awful big hard drive. You'd have to be a certifiable genius, I think, to be able to take in and to process all the information that's out there. And as I say, there may be very little that we can do about that. I got a reminder of this recently when I was having some trouble with my Twitter account. And it seemed like it might have been hacked and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff going on in my Twitter account that I didn't know, I didn't understand, and I just didn't quite know what to do about it, and I couldn't quite figure it all out. Well, who are you going to call? I called my college-age daughter, Allie, who's 20, looked at the problem, and in about 5 seconds diagnosed what the problem was, and then sat down with me and sort of patiently took me through it and explained to me what the problem was and helped me fix it. And I don't even know if she rolled her eyes, quite frankly, because we were both looking at the computer screen. But she did exactly what I needed her to do, and I was really grateful for her having done it. It made me think that, it's okay for us to be dumb about stuff. There's some stuff we're just going to be dumb about. What's not okay is not being willing to ask questions, and it's not being willing to look to other people for advice. That's not being dumb. That's sort of being willfully ignorant. Kate had a story on Morning Newsbeat last week about how Hershey's, right? They were coming up with this new logo, and one of the things they did is they changed the symbol, and they used a common web symbol. It was supposed to look like a Hershey's Kiss, and instead it looked like, basically it looked like a pile of crap, right? That's exactly what it looked like. And the thing was, and a Morning Newsbeat reader made this observation, I thought it was really smart, that if Hershey's had talked to anybody in their 20s or even their 30s and had run this by them, they probably wouldn't have had that problem, because somebody would have looked at it and said, oh, no, yeah, you don't want to use that. That could be a problem, right? And that's what companies have to do. It's a great object lesson for all of us. We have to be willing to go beyond what Claude Rains in Casablanca called the usual suspects. You have to be willing to vet ideas and strategies and tactics with not just the usual people, but you have to talk to a much more diverse group out there, because you have to make sure you're saying things that are relevant to them and you're not making mistakes that prove that you're irrelevant to them. That's what you have to do. Not knowing everything is a fact of life. Not asking questions and not looking for answers in a wide variety of places, well, that's just plain stupid. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this Thursday morning, and as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.